Game time!
Warning contains somewhat mature content, including language, brief violence, and mild sexual themes, and may not be suitable for people under age 14.
Anna, I don't feel comfortable about coming face to face with them, I said to Annatier in a quiet, shaking voice.
They won't do anything to you,
she reassured me.
They're actually really funny.
Of course you'd think that! You're their friend!
Calm down, Ray. I promise they won't do anything to you, okay?
I crossed my arms, watching Annatier set her kitchen table. She had invited me to dinner under false pretenses, and I was quite miffed about it. The thing she hadn't told me was that she had invited 2 more guests, the Jisatsu brothers. Keen and Gin Jisatsu are Annatier's neighbors, as well as her best friends aside from me. They are also a couple of the most terrifying humans I had ever seen. That's right, they're human. They're identical twins, and the only way to tell them apart is by their clothes. Keen wears black, and Gin wears white. Both brothers have their own quirks, but no matter what they do, no matter how they speak, and even whatever facial expression they give you, it's horrifying enough to make your blood run cold. Annatier was making dinner for the 4 of us, but I knew better than to eat what she was making, even though I didn't know what it was. I wasn't exactly fond of wayward city food. As she was setting plates, the doorbell rang. I hated her doorbell because it was an annoying buzz, almost as if a bee got trapped in a bell.
Can you get that?
Anna asked me, and I felt my feet go numb. I'd rather not, I whimpered. She turned to me and gave an incredulous look.
Listen, they already know I invited you, and they already know the rules I've set,
she said firmly.
Just be nice to them, and they'll be nice to you.
I gulped, nervously walking out of the kitchen. I moved ever closer to the front door as the bell continued to ring. As I reached for the knob, I closed my eyes, held my breath, and turned it.
Hello, Reitanna,
the twins said in such perfect unison they almost sounded like a single person. Hey, I said, trying to appear calm and collected. Come in. I stepped aside to let them pass. Keen made his way toward the kitchen, but when Gin entered the house, he stood very close to me, smirking. What? I asked shakily.
Nothing,
Gin replied, and then he sniffed.
You stink of flowers and rainbows.
Before I could respond, he hurried after his brother. Feeling anxious, I returned to the kitchen and saw the boys hugging Annatier in greeting.
It's nice to hang with you again,
said Keen, breaking away from the embrace.
I feel like it's been forever since we spent time together.
We've all had our busy days,
Anna giggled.
Sit down, I made blubberfart.
The brothers sat at the table, scooting their chairs so close together they were touching. I sat on the opposite side, watching them carefully. What on Encephalon is Blubberfarth? I couldn't help but ask, tearing my gaze from the twins to look at my other. Anna took a large bowl and set it in the center of the table. Even as I saw it, I still couldn't tell what it was. The bowl held some kind of gelatinous substance that was the color of sludge. Being completely transparent, I could see a few mysterious chunks floating inside, and they looked pretty unappetizing to me.
It's yummy,
Anna replied, sitting in the chair next to me and helping herself.
Try it, you'll like it.
That's what you said about Pilby, honey, I murmured, scooping up a small amount of the blubberfarth and dropping it onto my plate. Keen and Gin actually took quite a bit of the stuff.
So,
said Anna happily, clapping her hands together once.
Who's got interesting news?
A hole appeared in my bathroom, I said, poking the substance on my plate with a spoon. The twins both gasped, making me jump.
What kind of hole?
They asked simultaneously. It has a halo of the sun around it, I explained. It's stone, even though my house is a mushroom. There's the sound of a woman crying coming from it.
Do you know what that is?
Keen asked excitedly, and I frowned. I know exactly what it is, I snapped, and I want it gone. Part of me is curious to see the other side, but I know I'll regret it.
That means Walter Sullivan is running around the city somewhere,
said Gin, taking a bite of his blubberfarth. What is Walter Sullivan doing in Encephalon? I asked.
A lot of other characters have been popping up in the city lately,
Keen replied.
I noticed that,
Annatier exclaimed.
You won't believe who I saw at the market the other day.
Who? All 3 of us asked.
Me,
said Anna proudly, as if this was a personal triumph. No, I gasped.
Yes, I nearly lost my head when I saw him, but I don't want the characters to feel like they're celebrities with unwanted attention, and I'm pretty sure Sadako moved into my well.
Great, I sighed, taking a small blob of blubberfarth on my spoon.
I don't think she's interested in hurting anyone,
Annatier continued.
I think she just wants to be left alone. Poor girl.
Well, about this hole, Ray.
Said Geen quickly, and I met his wild eyes.
Can we see it?
I am not letting you two into my house, I spat.
I'm sorry, I thought you wanted to get rid of it.
Keen sneered nastily. I do, but I don't want you in my home, let alone in Smilesville at all.
Anna, your host is rude,
the twins said in unison. I growled and finally tasted the sludgy substance. I immediately spit it out. Ugh, this is nasty! The horrid stuff tasted like expired ketchup mixed with mouthwash.
Rude,
the Jisatsu brothers repeated together. Ignoring the twins, I started to mush up the disgusting substance to inspect the chunks. I found a small bone. Anna, is this a bone? I asked incredulously. She knew very well that I was a vegetarian.
Huh, I guess it is,
she replied.
Dunno how that got in there.
Do you even know what all these chunks are?
Oh, Ray, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies.
Annatier giggled sweetly as I glared at her. Then I pushed my plate away from me.
So, Reitanna,
said Keen suddenly, and my eyes snapped onto his pale face.
Are you finally gonna celebrate Suicide Day this year?
I do celebrate it, Nimwad, I grumbled.
No, he means really celebrate it,
Geen reiterated. I frowned. You know, by your definition of celebrate, you two would have celebrated a long time ago, and then the committee would have no leaders. This wiped the smirks off the twins' faces.
We're too important to die,
Geen growled. Says the guys who run a suicide cult, I muttered, picking up the bone I found in the blubberfarth and inspecting it.
That's precisely why we need to live,
Keen snapped. Guys, said Anna, but the three of us ignored her. How does it feel to be human and unable to ride the coaster, huh? I sneered, putting the bone back down.
Hey, we're trying our best to find a way for humans to tolerate the coaster so that we can ride for fun, shouted Keen, suddenly standing from his chair. When we figure it out, you'll be thanking us, Miss Priss.
Guys!
We all fell silent and looked at Annatier, whose yellow eye had turned red.
I didn't invite all three of you here to fight. Keen, sit down. Yin, shut up. And Ray, stop provoking them.
We hung our heads as if we were children being scolded, Keen sitting back down, and the twins slowly continued to eat their dinner. I huffed, looking around the kitchen dismally, wishing I could just go home. I really hated being around the twins because they always liked to push my buttons. Teasing Smilesvillians was their idea of fun.
Anna, did you catch last night's episode of Wayward City's Funniest Suicide Fails?
Asked Geen, his tone much less hostile.
Yeah,
Anna replied with a smile, chewing on a rather large chunk that looked a bit like rubber.
I was quite entertained by that woman who tried jumping off that tiny hill.
What? I asked, curious about the show since it didn't air in Smilesville. Annatier snorted.
This fat woman had climbed onto the steep hill, but it was only like 10 feet high. Some friends were below her to try and get her to come down, but she hysterically flung herself from the top and landed right on them. She got off with a couple of bruises, but she had crushed some of her friends, and they had to get treated for broken arms and/or legs.
What a dumbass! I laughed. Seriously, it's like these people just want attention.
Dunno, that chick might have just been stupid,
said Geen.
But this one dude was sitting on his windowsill. I'd say the fall would probably break his skull open, but he was just sitting there and waving at the crowd below. Before he was even close to jumping, a cop that was climbing down the building from above on a rope kicked him right back through the window and into his apartment. We were pretty sure he never even intended on jumping,
Keen added with a chuckle.
And other tried to kill himself too,
said Annatier.
He threw himself in front of a train. Once it passed, we see his upper half crawl off the track and back onto the platform, half of his face missing. There was blood everywhere, and his legs had been torn to shreds, but everyone just watched him lay on the concrete as he rejuvenated and started crying about how he wanted to die.
Why would an other try to die if they know they can't? I asked.
He was a schizoid personality other. They sometimes get delusional and think they have abilities that other others don't possess.
Geen sighed.
Well, he provided us with 3 minutes of entertainment.
Keen scoffed, and his twin nodded in agreement. Just then, my stomach growled loudly, and I groaned in embarrassment and annoyance.
Your pet is hungry, Anna,
Geen joked, and I shot him another glare.
Shoulda ate your farth, princess,
Geen added.
All right,
Annatier sighed, and she stood, walking to her fridge and sifting through it. Finally, she brought out a box that looked big enough to hold a volleyball. Opening it, she took out an enormous green sphere, set it on a baking sheet, and placed it in the oven.
I knew it was a good idea to shop at the Smilesville market.
Is that a giant pea? I asked excitedly. Giant peas were one of my favorite things to eat.
Just for you, Reichan,
said Anna, though she rolled her eyes.
I'll let it warm up for about 5 minutes.
The twins had finished their own food, and now Geen moved off of his chair to straddle his brother, who wrapped his arms around his waist and slid his hands into his back pockets. I blushed, unable to look away from them. No matter what, I was always a sucker for guy love.
Come on, boys, not in front of Reitanna.
She doesn't mind,
Keen purred, licking Geen's jaw briefly. I really don't, I admitted with a laugh.
Just keep your clothes on this time,
said Annatier, pacing in front of the oven as she waited for the pea to heat up.
Last time you two were over, you almost started fucking on my couch.
Can't help it,
Geen replied softly, and Keen chuckled.
I can keep him coming all night long, and it still isn't enough for us,
he said, and I placed my face in my palm, trying not to giggle.
10 times in a row,
said Geen.
15 on good days,
continued Keen.
Never enough,
they cooed in unison.
Listen, if I want Ray's blood spilling all over my kitchen table, I'll do it myself, so tone it down,
said Anna, though she was smiling as she took the giant pea out of the oven. She put it on a clean plate, placed it in front of me, and handed me a butter knife and fork.
Bon appetit, you spoiled brat.
Me, my name's Anna, I talk like this, I mocked, but was happy to slash the pea open and eat something tasty at last. It definitely was able to slightly distract me from the twins' sudden makeout session. At last, when all of us had finished eating, including me, I joined the twins in the living room while Annatier cleaned up the kitchen. She refused my help, saying I needed to try and get along with Keen and Geen. However, they weren't paying much attention to me as Geen lay on the couch, his brother on top of him, and I was surprised that they managed to keep their clothes on. I turned on the television, which was set to the game show network. An extremely sexy woman with blue skin spun a wheel with numbers on it as 2 contestants watched from their podiums. The wheel slowly stopped on the number 5.
Oh, too bad, Gunter,
said the game show host, who appeared to be a manic-depressive other just like Annatier.
Looks like it's an odd number. That means Sadie gets the shot.
The female contestant cheered as the male one gripped his hair in distress. There were 6 people strapped to boards, 3 on each side of the wheel. The 3 that were directly across from Sadie had Gunter's name above them, and the other 3 across from Gunter had Sadie's name. It seemed that 2 of Gunter's friends were dead, whereas only 1 of Sadie's remained lifeless. Sadie lifted a pistol and aimed it at Gunter's remaining friend's head, who was struggling and begging to be spared. But Sadie pulled the trigger, and blood spurted in all directions as the bullet collided with his skull.
And Sadie wins! Congratulations!
said the host as Sadie jumped up and down, Gunter sobbing. Sadie's 2 living friends were set free, and a huge bag of money was placed into her hands.
And Sadie also wins a brand new car!
I wasn't sure whether to be amused or disgusted.
Hey, Reitanna,
said Keen suddenly, and I looked over at the brothers.
Wanna join us?
I frowned, as did Geen.
Ugh, I don't want to make out with a woman,
he exclaimed.
Especially not a frilly little Smiles villain. Come on, we can genderbend her. It'll be fun,
said Keen. I'm gonna decline, I said apathetically, changing the channel to Wayward City News. I don't think Michael would appreciate it.
What is up with you and your morals?
Said Keen, but Geen pinched his arm hard and he gasped in pain.
I'm not getting fluffy,
he said.
I hate fluffy. I do too,
Keen insisted, but he was distracted by the news story on the television. According to 3 civilians, there has been sightings of rain clouds. There were 4 gasps in the room, for Annatier had entered just as the news anchor had said that. 3 boys appeared on the screen, and all of them looked extremely dull-witted.
Yeah, we, saw a rain cloud yesterday, said the one with the beanie, who appeared to be human. We were standing on the corner, smoking pot, and there was this cloud that, looked not like the others.
Yeah, we were all like, whoa,
said an other in an oversized t-shirt.
And the cloud was all like, whoa, and then I was like, whoa.
Stupid weeders,
Keen spat, sitting up as he watched.
They were probably too stoned to recognize regular clouds. I really wish they'd outlaw pot in the city,
Geen added.
It's the one thing I really have a problem with.
What if they did see rain clouds, though?
Asked Anna, who was trembling from head to toe, and I gave her a worried look. However, no one else seems to have seen these rain clouds, the anchor continued, so we are unsure whether or not to take the claims seriously, considering that they came from a few stoned teens.
There. See?
Said Geen to Anna.
Nothing to worry about.
Annatier went silent, and she sat next to me, even though the plush chair was only made for one person. Chill, I said, feeling her shake. You aren't really taking a few weeders seriously, are you?
You're right,
Annatier said with a smile.
I was being silly.
Just then, the clock chimed 8 times.
Oh, geez,
said Keen.
We better get out of here. We're going out to Bones for some late night fun.
He shared a sly grin with his brother.
I should get Ray home too,
said Anna, standing up.
Get her out of the city before it starts to get lively.
I stood up as well, and so did the twins. They each scanned me, expressions indifferent, but then they shook my hand in turn.
Have a good evening, Reitanna,
said Keen with forced kindness. You too, I sighed. Thanks for trying.
Girl can sniff a lie from a mile away,
said Geen with a laugh, and I couldn't help from chuckling as well. The 4 of us left the house and parted at the gate, the brothers walking toward downtown with a hand in each other's back pocket. Annatier and I headed to the bus station, seeing Nileve skipping around the sign.
Going to see my host, who I love the most. Going to see my host, the most.
Anna and I shared equal looks of amusement, and finally boarded the bus when it arrived. All right, I said when we sat down. It wasn't that bad.
Told you,
said Annatier with a smile. But next time, tell me if you're having other people over. I don't like surprises.
Deal.
And the moral of the story? Never trust random goop with mysterious chunks inside. Yep, that's it. Damn Blubberfarth. And...